everybody, welcome back to The Now Mom. I'm Rachel Bennett, and we have special guests today.
I'm the plus one.
I decided to invite Jace onto the Now Mom video today because
he's crazy.
He's crazy, but this video is all about balancing work and school at home. We are very fortunate. We both work from home together.
Unfortunate sometimes.
Let's be honest, there was a lot of conflict the first couple years that we started working together at home.
We didn't exactly know how to communicate how we work. I work really, really well as a, quote, fireman, if you want to take it that way. I'm really good at putting out a fire, putting out a fire, putting out a fire. But between those fires, sometimes I need a little bit of time.
Or structure. That's right. So we've had a lot of experience with working together at home. We've been very fortunate. But I know that a lot of requests out there are how we balance our work and teaching our kids school at home. So we're here to talk about some tips that we have learned over the years, because it's taken many years to do this, to figure this out. All right, well, we're gonna get started. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you guys subscribe down below because we have lots of fun videos and tips coming out, as well as lots of good information and freebies over on theohanaventure.com. Okay, so the first tip, Jace brought it up really well, is communication. When we first started both working together at home, and not necessarily on the same business, but just even working in each other's space, it took a lot of communication.
Yeah, it would be, I need to take a phone call. I need to be here. Our last house was much smaller than this home. A little over 2,000 square feet, no office. The living room, dining room, kitchen were kind of all together. And so I ended up putting a desk. Rach's desk was in between the kitchen and the living room. My desk was in the corner of our bedroom. And it was very interesting because if Rach was at her desk, but I needed her, I could just say, hey Rach, can you go get this done? And she would kind of drop what she was doing and go and get it. If I was in the bedroom working on something, she'd yell, hey Jace, can you go get the kids from school? And I'd drop what I was doing, and at the end of the day, we'd both be frustrated because neither one of us got done what we needed to. And at that point, we didn't know why we weren't getting everything done.
Yeah, it took a while to kind of understand, and we have been blessed with opportunities early on in our marriage where we tried to have more open communication about our frustrations or about interpreting what the other person wanted. So we learned while working at home together that communication is key. So we kind of set up times, which kind of goes into our second point, is setting up a powwow. So we would set up a time just the beginning of the day. Okay.
Not a pow-pow.
We call it a powwow.
A powwow.
So we would set up a time and be like, okay, what is on your schedule? What do you have going this day? You have meetings, or even at the beginning of the week, it would be like, okay, Tuesday, I gotta go and I have kids to take here. I've got appointments.
We would do this on either Sunday night, if things had calmed down, or Monday morning. And then now what it's turned into is family council, because the kids own their own businesses. The kids own, operate, run their own YouTube channels, their own websites. And so now it's everybody. And this is where her genius comes into play, not mine.
Well, I love a good structure. I like to be super organized. I get out my planner, I get out like my phone, whatever keeps me organized, and we go over the entire week. So powwow is kind of essential with learning and communicating with everybody. This gives an opportunity for everyone, including the children, to communicate what they would like to do that week or what is needed to be done. And then this is where we incorporated school. So when we started homeschooling, we would say, okay, group lessons, mom's teaching history on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so at 1 o'clock we're doing that. And I would set that time. And then dad knows, or if I needed dad, I'd be like, okay, dad, I need you at this time and this time. Or if I didn't, I would say, okay, dad, we have a science experiment this week. I'm gonna need your help. Yeah. What's an open time for you? And he would tell me,
let's light it on fire.
No, we're not burning things down.
Oh, I'm a really good science mechanics engineering teacher.
So I would see what Jason's schedule was like, and we would put in the extra things. So we would try to be a little bit flexible in that sense, where we would input like, okay, we're gonna work around your schedule. On Wednesday, you've got an opening. Let's do science on that day, or art, or whatever Jace is needed with. So that's kind of how that worked out. with balancing and communicating, but also balancing everyone's schedule, we have that powwow. Sometimes every Sunday, well actually it is every Sunday, but sometimes every morning. So right around the breakfast table, everyone's eating, we go, okay, powwow, what's going on today? Oh, I've got school.
My schedule changes very, very often.
It does, and he'll be like, oh, I've got a phone call at like 2 o'clock. And then,
like, you're supposed to do science at 2 o'clock.
So that leads us into our next point.
Goals.
So
in these powwows, what's the point? We have to come up with goals, a reason for the powwow.
As Jay said, we were like not getting stuff done when we first started to work together. And we didn't understand because we weren't communicating, and then thus we weren't like accomplishing our tasks. So my goal for the day would be, hey, I'm gonna teach the history, I'm gonna film a YouTube video, I gotta upload some videos. Those are my 3 goals, really attainable goals. And then Jace would set his goals for the day.
I have this phone call, I need to spend 4 hours sourcing this product for this person, and I have no idea where to start. And a lot of mine actually were late at night or super early in the morning. So during the daytime, I was able to help more. Once I figured out, okay, don't waste time in the daytime. Do it in the morning or at night when everybody overseas is awake and you can communicate with them at that time. They'll actually respond, and leave the daytime open to assist.
That's right. So when Dad says he's got his hours of time that he has to be working, we do things different.
And I close the door. I go somewhere where I can close the door. And when the door is closed, don't bother Dad.
That's right. We even put signs up sometimes. And that's kind of how we will work around each other.
No, you hear from the house. Quiet on the set. We literally say quiet on the set. People in our house when they're filming, and everyone else knows, like,
it works. It totally works. And everyone's like, oh,
sorry. It's doing well. We're communicating well, and we have goals to allow everybody to get their things done.
Well, and then when you implement school in there, you do need to make sure that you're setting goals specifically for homeschool. Like, we want to accomplish so many of our lessons today, or for each kid individually. And I think we went over this in transitioning from public school to homeschool, is making sure that it's all set out, their lessons and plans are all ready, so that you know, okay, the goal for today is accomplishing, 1 math, 2 science, 1 history lesson, and an English, right?
And Dad not attacking the kids, taking them away from it and tickling them, which happens.
That's the goal.
4 or 5 times a day. Our goal is only 2.
And I get so frustrated when he does that. Oh my gosh.
The kids love it.
So
it refreshes them. It restructures. It's like recess.
That is true. And you should be setting time and setting goals for doing the fun things as well. All right, that moves us to tip number 4, which is time blocking.
Ooh.
You might have heard it in different ways, time structuring or carving out time. This is where you really hone in on your schedule, and then you use the allotted time to get as much as you can done for whatever task is needed during that time.
I have nothing to say to this one because I'm the worst person on the planet at this.
So what we do is, with our goals, like, hey, we've got so many of our tasks or assignments to do, we move that into time blocking. So 8:30 to 9:30, that's 1 hour. I want, okay, what's our goal in the time block there, 8:30 to 9:30? And kids will say, okay, I'm gonna get science and English done. Another kid's gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna get history done in that 1 hour. And then when the hour's done, we shut it down, whether you're done with the assignment or not, and we move on to something else. This actually helps our brain really focus on what's important for that hour. And because you do have a time constraint, sometimes it really helps you to like do it as quickly as possible. And it does take a lot of training to do this. So we have to redirect some people back to the task at hand.
No, I just closed the door and I'm like, I'm time blocking myself in this room.
And then he's eating Muddy Buddies and watching YouTube. For reals, times, specific times that you're going to do school and work. So if Dad says, I've got meetings at 9, 10, and 11, I'm like, perfect. I will teach this history lesson at 9, and then at 10 o'clock, it's gonna be independent study for everybody for an hour, and then at 11 o'clock, I'm gonna do a science experiment with the kids. So if I'm allotting myself this time to get these things done, then that gives me like a set schedule for what's gonna happen.
And guess what? Number 5 is the one I can actually talk about. Be flexible.
This is where I have problems. This is my weakness. Even though you have structure, it's not free flow, be flexible, do whatever you want, because then nothing happens.
Truth.
But we have a structure, and if something comes up, it is nice to be flexible. Now, this is the best part about homeschool.
Yes.
The best part about homeschool. We truly love homeschool because sometimes flights will come up really cheap for somewhere that we can go.
It's educational.
That's educational.
And adventurous.
Right now with COVID, that's not an option.
No.
But it will be in the future. The first year that we moved into this house, we were starting school and we were so excited because flights to Europe were really cheap at the time. So we booked flights to England. I made them bring one of their workbooks, which is just kind of like a 3-subject type like workbook, so that they can write different things in there, and a journal. And we went through all out of Europe over a month.
We backpacked,
we
trains.
trained, we took planes, we went and explored castles, we saw historical places.
And we had the kids write in their journals, maybe Rach did more than me, had them write in their journals different aspects of each country, what they liked, what the history was, what the most memorable things were, in what additions to science were made in this country, what in engineering, what came out of this country that helped engineering.
What do they manufacture, or what's their agriculture? There are so many things that you can cover in that type of aspect. So this is where being flexible is awesome. Now, this doesn't mean that you just like create an open space to do nothing, and then when something comes up, then you implement learning. No, you do your learning, and then when something does come up, you can pause it.
You need to
and
be
come back
strategic.
to it. Yep.
Be strategic with it.
That's right.
We need structure now, but we need to have some of this, because I think kids need to learn how to be flexible and how to be able to, if there's downtime, go, wait a second, let's figure, this is all from our self-starters. If you can self-start, you can work well in structure, and you can actually work well with flexibility. And that's the goal, because if all of a sudden there's downtime and they turn into slugs, that's not what you want, because they have to have so much structure. But you don't want the opposite either. So that's what we're working on.
So finding that balance is really key. And honestly, like having a good structure, but being open, because this is an opportunity as a teacher for home to teach them how to find places to learn. So when you're being flexible and you're like gonna go on a hike, or you're gonna go and do things, or you're gonna go on a trip, seeing opportunities to learn and discover wherever you go is all part of the fun.
Number 6.
Number 6.
6, you need to pause. You're getting in a little bit of a funk, pause things up. You can do that. You don't have to go and pick your kids up from school and then hit pause. They're home. Hit pause.
That's right.
Then
evaluate what's going on, and then you reset.
Reset so that you can invigorate things. You can put some life back into it. Because a funk typically means that you're like, you're banging into the wall. You're banging into the wall.
And
so
it's
pause.
not working.
Reset. A little bit ago, Rach was in a funk. Everything was in a funk. And all of a sudden, I had a phone call. We had talked about the funk. I escaped to my phone call. And then all of a sudden, Rach had the kids, water, a little bit of food. They all went outside. They went to the park for like an hour. And they were gone. And they came back and everyone was happy and productive, and it was amazing. So
sometimes you got to evaluate what's going on in your household, how everyone's working together. Again, it's going to be hard. Do those steps of communicating, setting a good schedule, finding that routine, but also learning to kind of step back and evaluate, like, okay, this kid's stressed. This kid isn't understanding his math lesson. This kid is like bugging the other person. And it just kind of seems like maybe the tensions are high in your home.
Okay, wait. Keep going with that. But you have to go to the Ohana Adventure podcast and get the How to Parent via Motive, because each one of your children, you can't say, hey, let's all go to the park and all the kids will love it.
That's right.
The way you need to pitch going to the park, for one, is here's how productive going to the park is going to be right now. Here's how much fun you're going to have at the park right now. Here's how you will be able to have more relationship time with your siblings by going to the park right now. Here's how you can get more peace and quiet by going to the park right now. You have to be able to pitch it to all of them in a way that they can see the value in leaving. Then you can take them to the park. Then you can take them to an aquarium. Then you can go into the backyard, whatever it is. But learn to parent individually. That's why homeschool, that's why being with your kids is the best, because you can figure out which language each one of them speaks and talk directly to them, whereas in other situations they have 30 that all have to listen the same way.
You're absolutely right. If you want, we have a lot of podcasts on theohanaadventure.com. This actual video, Balancing Work and School at Home, is in a podcast. You can listen to us.
The podcast is funnier.
It's actually a lot more details, so you want to go over there. There are lots of good podcasts on transitioning to homeschool, balancing work and home, learning to parent via motive, and there's so many more than that. But you do have to evaluate and communicate with your children so that you can be able to reset, come back refreshed, and be able to hit this school and work head on again.
So you're saying be flexible and then come up with a new structure to go into.
If you need to restructure, that's what you gotta do. Sometimes it's like recess. You just need to get out, kind of get your head in some fresh air, think about things, and then come back and go, oh, I can do this. And maybe even jump back in the same schedule you were doing. That might work too. So hopefully some of these points are gonna help you out in balancing work and home and school at home.
I'm sure they will.
Please comment down below. We wanna know everything that you're going through. What are some struggles that you're going through? Because we can create more content for you to help you through this time, because it took us a couple years.
But then some
find the
of
balance.
your tips and tricks, shoot them to us, because guess what? We need them too.
We all need to help each other, creating this community to help each other during this hard time of life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for hanging out. Thanks, Chase, for joining me.
Oh, yes.
Cute kiss. Hopefully you guys liked this video. Give it a big thumbs up and it helped you in some way. I want to hear from you guys, but thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.